Good evening everyone and welcome to round 3 of the Australian Endurance eChampionship. I am Stuart Brown, I am your host for this evening. And we come to you live from Spain, where it's probably a lot warmer than it is here in Melbourne where I am tonight. But we won't let that get in the way. Certainly the weather in Melbourne today hasn't been great, but we're set to have some really good racing here tonight. We are at Catalunya, a very technical track and one that will challenge the drivers. Certainly for even a short 15 or 20 lap race, but across the 2 hours of tonight, definitely one that's going to challenge them for the duration. So buckle in and make sure that you jump on the chat and have a chat with us tonight as well. If you are watching, we'd love it if you'd share the stream. Certainly helps us build our channel here and grow the support. Give some exposure to the sponsors: Aftershock, PCs, Simrig.com, Razer, and Virtual Motorsport Mentor. So we've gone a little bit earlier tonight. Taken on some feedback and gone with a little less of the intro stuff and a little more of the action, and we are covering the full 20-minute qualifying session. The guys back at the office, Joey has been extremely busy getting a whole heap of new cameras for us specific to this track, and we've also got a we believe iRacing broadcasting first, where we will be bringing you dual footage, in-car and external footage of these cars throughout the night. So certainly get settled in, we will be, and join us for this round. So just as we get into qualifying here, we have got around about 17 minutes to go. It's an open qualifying session, so it means that the teams can do as many laps as they wish to, and get through to hopefully set the fastest lap for themselves for the race and get out in front. It's going to be really important for them here to get a good track position so that they can get some clean air and hopefully run away with it. Just trying to bring up the championship points here. It's not quite wanting to play for us, but I can tell you that at the top of both of these leagues it is very, very tight. So for those of you joining us for the first time tonight, we are running a dual championship here. So we have got the drivers with GTE and GT3 cars in the series, and they are individual championships at this stage. So whilst we will crown an overall champion for the driver that ends up with the highest points tally at the end of the season, we will have individual GTE and GT3 champions at its culmination. Said we're in round 3 here. We've still got another 4 rounds to go after this. So the first 3 rounds, in fact the first 5 rounds, are solo driver races where it's each man for himself or each woman for himself, and then we team up for the last 2 rounds when we head to Bathurst on the last round, and the penultimate round is at the ever-challenging Nürburgring. Just jump into it, having a look at a few more of the drivers here. You will see lots of the box fit cars tonight running around there. A well supported set of vehicles there, and they do a great job in participating. As we're riding on board with Dave Johnson now, or who we have crowned as Captain Consistency, and getting into the spirit. He sent me a photo of his car today, and he has actually put on the back corner of that car a little sailor's hat, or a captain's hat. You can just see it on the back corner of the car there. We'll try and see if we can jump on board with him and bring that camera to you. on the left-hand rear corner, no, the other side of the car. Let's jump on the right rear. I think it's just out of our view there, which is unfortunate. But anyway, so Dave's getting into the spirit of things. He is currently, sitting third in our championship, and doing a really good job at keeping out of trouble and being nice and consistent, hence the name. And what it's all about if you're going to feature in the latter stages of this to contest for the championship. Thanks for the shout out there, Josh, in terms of the Rabbit Race Car team. Dave Johnson, who we are focusing on, along with Andre and our other mate TK, who had a equipment failure in the second round. He was qualified well, and then apparently as soon as we got into the race, lost his pedals. So again, like we said in the first round with Jaden Sweeney suffering a hardware failure as well. Same thing can happen in real life. You can have a tyre blowout or an engine failure or gearbox failure, and obviously that then means that your race is over. So as it sits at the moment, we've got Jesse Butler, who is currently the fastest man on track with a 1:44.5. Jesse, again, equally has been a consistent performer in this category. He has been running, finishing both races in third position in our prior races. And he will be certainly some challenge for Chris Purnell, who is currently sitting second in the championship with the championship leader, unfortunately unable to make the race tonight. So with Braden out of the race tonight. We're also missing Brock Schafer. So the whole team there, unfortunately, not able to make the race tonight, so that they will be back next week. And all it takes is one of the other lead drivers to have a poor race, and those boys will be right back into the championship. Got a couple of new drivers joining the field tonight as well. Welcome Jeff Thompson. He has joined us in a GTE BMW. Matthew O'Grady becoming our second Audi driver, along with Andre Cortez, and we have Sebastian Murray-Wise. I'm struggling there. We will call him MW as well, kind of like TK, just to make it my life a little bit easier. They've joined the field. So a lot of these guys are jumping in with our partners for our duo races at the end of the season. So you can see we're on board now with Sebastian, and he is running the Bow Repairs livery on his car. So he will be jumping on board with Brad Klenk, the leader of the GT3 category, later on in the season. Thanks very much for your comment there, Sogo. Yes, the Polito boys will just jump on board with the brothers. We've got Polito Brothers Racing here, so on board with Phil and also Ron, who's actually at this stage the second fastest car on track. So that's a fantastic effort in the big bad M8 BMW, a personal favourite of mine. So we've got 9 minutes to go, or just over 9 minutes to go in qualifying, and at this stage it's Butler followed by Polito and then Purnell, Brett Douglas in fourth, Eddie Metz in fifth, Reynolds in sixth, Thomas in seventh, and then the first of the GT3 cars with Sebastian there in eighth place. Give you an idea of the splits between the cars, the timing here is around about 3 seconds difference. So with our start procedure, the drivers will have a staggered start, so our GTE cars go first, and then the GT3 cars follow along around about 3 to 4 seconds after the GTE guys start. So that little gap just creates some distance between the two packs, particularly at the start of the race. You don't really want the congestion going down into what would be a hectic turn one here. It's a tight right-hander followed by a big sweeping left-hander. So it's a really challenging track for the drivers. The cars tend to jump around a little bit and not necessarily grip the same way as they move the cars around the track. So it can make it very difficult for them to actually manage a consistent lap and to achieve a reasonably good setup in these cars. If you're joining us on Twitch tonight, we'd really love it if you could smash that follow button. We are trying to, like everyone, grow our audience. It helps us to fund the channel. So thanks very much for joining us. And make sure you drop a comment in there. We've got the comments open for all of the platforms that we're streaming across. So if you are watching, give us a hello and a shout out and let us know who you're following or who you'd like to see. Jump on board with Ryan Porter now. He has been one of the unlucky guys a little bit. He's a really good driver, but just got caught up in a couple of things that weren't off his doing, so I'm hoping to see him move his way back up the grid this race. Just so you jump on with TK here as he's trying to set his first flying lap. Our mate from across the ditch, TK, joins us every Thursday night to get involved, and you can't have favourites as a commentator, but I'm certainly hoping he has a good race tonight, because again, he's had some bad luck but has been really, really quick in that Ferrari, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. We do have a couple of other drivers who will join us later on in the series. This is our first season running this series, and big changes coming for us into the next season to attract more drivers and to keep the racing nice and close for you at home. I don't know if you have seen our last stream last week, but we did have a last lap pass to go to victory lane. So certainly you want to stick around. We seem to get it reasonably close in terms of judging what's going to happen towards the end of the race. And we weren't too far off the mark there. It was a great finish in the GTE class. So a lot of these guys will be pulling in, getting new tyres, adjusting their sets maybe slightly, and then they will head out again as we've just stuck down with 7.5 or just about 7 minutes to go. So keep an eye out for a flurry of activity with around about 5 minutes to go, when the guys can get around for one lap and then head out and get themselves hopefully a good track position to do one last flying lap before they get themselves into the final qualifying position. So we're bringing you a lot of custom camera work tonight, which we've been working hard on the stream to try and improve it for you. So Joey, as I mentioned at the start of the stream back at the office, has done a heap of camera work this week to set up basically an entire custom camera lap for us with different cameras positioned around the track, and bringing you more of the action, or hopefully better action. So this camera we're on now is a custom setup that Joey has put together for us, so it looks fantastic. Oh, there you are, Joey, just singing your praises, mate. Thank you. The cameras are looking fantastic. So this is what we've called turns, and it looks great. It's a cracking camera angle, so lucky to be able to bring this one to you. Going to jump on and follow Jesse Butler around, who's still our fastest man on track at a 1:43.35, 3/4 of a second ahead of Chris Purnell. So he's doing a cracking job in that Porsche, probably just running a little wide there, so probably looking for a little bit of extra gap as we get down into the last 5 minutes of qualifying to just shore himself up in that pole position. It's going to be pretty close racing here. It's going to be difficult for the guys to get past the slower GT3 cars, because of the fact that there isn't that much lap time difference between them, and there aren't nice long straights for everyone to be able to sort of make room. Really, the main straight's the only place where that sort of action can happen. So going to need to be careful to keep an eye on their relative boxes and know who's coming up behind them. Follow the blue flags when they come out to let you know that there's a faster car approaching, just so that you keep a clean race and keep out of the potential for you to wreck your own race and wreck someone else's race as well. So just going to jump over and I'll just show you this new camera setup that we've got as we get towards the end of qualifying. We've got 3.5 minutes to go. So what we've got on screen here now is you've got the leader of the GT3 class in the box on the right hand bottom corner of your screen, and we will get rid of that qualifying overlay once qualifying is finished. And then in the main screen there you've got the leader of our GT E category. So it's going to enable you to have more of an idea of what's going on. We'll just switch around to jump back on board with TK. It's going to give you more of an idea of what's going on between the two categories. So we want to make sure that you get to see your favourite drivers and see what's going on across both classes. And it's also going to help us to bring you a lot more of the closer racing. So, you know, if we've got two cars that might be battling it out for position, we can jump on board with one and have a look at the car behind and see what goes on with the passing. So really just trying to spruce up the act to make sure that we are bringing you everything you can do. Yeah, absolutely, Josh. That's what we think. So give the guys in the GT3 coverage and we'll switch it around and also enable us to really give you the best coverage of those close-up racing events that we're also certainly expecting to take place based on last race. So it's a little bit clunky to start off with, but we got it working, and we'll keep making improvements as we do, as we learn and make our way through improving the broadcast for you. To give you an idea if you haven't done this before, I'm sitting at a computer with 4 screens. I've actually got 2 computers running, and we've got 2 sessions, 2 keyboards, 2 mouse, just trying to get all of this up and running. And I'm sitting here in not solitary confinement, but certainly by myself, just trying to get this up and running. So I'm sure there'll be a few glitches, but just bear with us as we continue to improve it. Okay, so we've got just under 3, no, we're into 2 minutes to go now. So I'm going to jump on board with Jesse Butler as we have done, and in the other window, who is our fastest man in the GTEs? So it's actually Sebastian, and he is in the pits at the moment. So we'll just see how TK is going on his lap. He's done a 1:46.94, and that is his fastest lap of the session, but it hasn't improved his lap position at the moment. He's still sitting down there in 4th. So I may not have called this well enough. I think there might be Ron Polito's still out there. He's just started a new lap, so let's jump on board with Ron there in the turns cameras. So just having a look at him making his way around. I had expected Chris Purnell probably to come out of the pits again and try and improve on his lap. He's in a 1:44.03, so still that sort of 3/4 of a second behind, as Jaden Sweeney moves up the list as well, having done his fastest lap, a 1:45.96, moving him up into 8th. Ron's done a smashing job here. He's still looking like he's going to be in 3rd with, we're looking for green sectors really. And at the moment we've got an orange sector for his first sector, which means that it's not an improvement on the laps he has done in the past. And Brett Douglas has just done a fastest 2nd sector here, so we'll just jump on board with him and see how his lap is faring as he looks to improve from 5th position. He's only 0.06 of a second behind Wade Reynolds in 4th, and again 0.05, so he's less than a 1/10 of a second away from 3rd place, and it looks like he's just dropped a little bit of time there in that last sector to not enable to him improve his time, so he's finished up with a 45.46. So that is the end of qualifying. We do still have, I think Brett Douglas is on a flying lap still. by the look of it, and so is Jeff Thomas. No, he's given up that lap there. So basically the only man out on the track now is Jeff Thomas, who is bringing that around, and that will be the fastest lap he's already done at a 1:45.49. So that brings us to the end of qualifying for this round. So we'll just wait for it to tick over before we take you through the grid as the cars jump on in. To turn over. Yeah, 10 seconds to go before that happens, or there's 17 seconds to go in the thing before it clicks over and will show us the grid. So tonight we've got 2 hours, as usual. For those of you who've joined the broadcast since it started, 2 hours single driver event for tonight, with the there's no minimum requirement for pit stops. The guys will need to take one pit stop certainly. And there we go, we've got the grid up for you there. So I'll just quickly run you through this. It is a rolling start for us tonight, as opposed to last week. We did trial a standing start. Not the most favoured thing, but for the drivers, particularly at that track, these cars are terribly difficult to get off the start line. So we've got Butler in first, Purnell in second, Polito in third, Reynolds in fourth, Brett Douglas in fifth, Eddie Metz in sixth, with Thomas in seventh, Sweeney eighth, Polito ninth, Sebastian in 10th as the first of our GT3 cars, O'Grady in 11th, Klenk in 12th. Just move through the grid there, with TK in 13th, Dave Johnson 14th, Porter in 15th, Jacob Pascoe in 16th, look out for him coming from there, and Andre Cortez in 17th. So as we've mentioned here, rolling start, the grid is split in two between our GT3 and our GTE cars, so do watch out for them as they roll around. We'll stick with this view of from the main straight, so you will get to see the cars roll down the main straight and start this race. I'm anticipating a race of around about 60 to 70 laps tonight, and the drivers will probably run to around about lap 30 before making their pit stop. As usual, if you're joining us, please do give us a shout out. Do share the stream if you are online. We appreciate the extra exposure. And if there is anything that you want to see, make sure you let us know, because we are here to make this as great a viewing experience as we can for you. So here we go, and off and rolling. So Jesse Butler will lead them around. This is his first pole position in this category, so congratulations Jesse, and a job well done. And he will control the pace of the field, and once the light goes green, we will be off and racing for round 3 of the Australian Endurance eChampionship. Jesse's just holding the pack there. He's going to roll around the corner here, and this is certainly the most dangerous part of any race for these drivers. particularly in these endurance races, you just need to get through the start nice and clean and get yourself into a rhythm so that you can run your own race without the risk of being taken out or losing position. And it looks like we are going to be green any tick of the clock. And we're off and racing, and Jesse Butler is out in front. Well done, Jesse has taken the lead from Chris Purnell, who's making a run down the outside here. And we're just going to go to the two-track view so that we can actually see or show you these other cars as they make their starts. So that's there with the GT3 guys getting off and running as well, with TK making a good start in that class as they get off and running. We'll just move that camera back over. Jesse Butler still in the lead of the GTE category. Just going to move this forward to the leader there. Jesse Butler still running in first in the GTE class with Chris Purnell right behind him. They will be trying to make a break for it, and they are, from Ron Polito, who's had a great start in third position there. And we've got Wade Reynolds in fourth, Eddie Metz with a clean start in fifth, and down to Brett Douglas in sixth. Thomas in seventh, Sweeney in eighth, Polito in ninth in the second of the Polito Brothers Motorsport cars. Sebastian is leading the GTEs, as you can see in that bottom right hand corner window there. That is what we are showing you, and we hope that that is going to give you some great footage of both classes throughout this race, rather than just focusing on one particular class. So it looks like it will be Jesse who brings us around to take the first lap of this race, and what he'll be looking to do now is to set himself into a rhythm and to capitalise on his good start and take himself into the lead of this race. So that's it, we're into lap 2. All of that. What a mouthful. So yes, so we continue to get ourselves around. It does look like one of the Polito Motorsport cars has suffered a little bit of damage there as he's gone offside. We'll just try and bring you what has happened there. Not sure what's going on. Yeah, sorry about that, Jason. It was an operator error. I had not switched the camera on. I apologise for that, mate, and missing the start there. We'll try and bring that back to you where we can. Brand new technology for me today, so certainly a learner error. Apologies for that. So these two are cutting and running. They've already opened up nearly a 5-second gap to Ron Polito back in third, with extraordinarily close lap times, lap for lap. And this is pretty much what I'm expecting to see from these two, a cut and run mentality. They are sitting third and second in our championship at the moment. Thanks very much, Jason, appreciate it. Give us a share if you love it, we'd appreciate that too. And they're sitting third and second in the championship respectively, and with Brock Schafer out for the night, and also with Braden Nash sitting this one out too. Their two biggest rivals are out of this race. So it is a great opportunity for them to attempt to get themselves further in front and make up some points gap difference in terms of Braden. So we'll just turn on that NASCAR ticker across the top of the screen there, so if you are trying to follow your favourite driver, you can see where they are relative in the field, and we will bring you back. Wow, Chris Purnell right up behind Braden there as he is making a pass to, sorry, my apologies, not behind Braden, behind Jesse Butler there, as he's trying to make a pass and does so successfully to move himself into the lead of this race. A fantastically clean pass there, and look, very early on, so no need to defend or do anything like that at this time. I'm just going to take you back to the single camera live footage here as we just try and set up a couple of things with this other camera so we can make it as interesting as we can. with our tight battle here, this is what we wanted to be able to bring you. So in the small screen on the right hand side here, you are riding on the nose of Jesse Butler, and obviously in front of him is Chris Purnell in the GT. So this way you can see, particularly when we get into some close battles, what's going on, the lines the drivers are taking. Still have a look at the main vision where you'll see the pass, or you might see the overtake, get an idea of how close these guys are and what sort of lines they take. We're going to be able to bring you some in-car footage as well as the guys are driving around the track. I've just noticed there that TK in the GT3 class has just had an off-track, so we'll just jump in and bring you that replay. Just on the main screen there, something happened to him. Looks like he's just had a little slide there. Hopefully no damage done, everyone gets through. Yes, they do. So no doubt there he'll make up that time. And jump back live here, he's probably already back out on the track. So he'll make up those spots as Lido just tries to get out of the way there. So just jump back on board with Chris Purnell as this battle is still nice and close. We've got a gap of just under half a second between these two drivers. Certainly looking forward to the tail end of this race between these two. It's going to be very close. See here where the Porsche just really closes up on the back of the GT. It's certainly stronger around the curvy parts. GT is stronger in a straight line. So just give a feature back here. We're going to jump back on with Sebastian, who is leading the GT3 class. We can refer to him as MW from now on, or it might even be Murray Westberg. We'll come up with some sort of a nickname for him. We'll see how he gets on. It is his first race tonight in this championship, so out there leading, and he will be partnering with Brad Klenk in the team endurance event. So he looks to be a very strong driver, and certainly a great addition to the series. So thanks for joining us, Sebastian. We appreciate having you here as we try and put on a great show for our audience. If you are watching, let us know where you're watching from, and see if you can give the stream a like or a share, and we would appreciate it. Back in second, another newcomer to the series is Matthew O'Grady. He's second in the GT3 class in the Audi, the not much loved Audi in this series. We've only got two between himself and Andre Cortez, and he is doing a great job up there in second place at the moment in a fantastic looking livery on that car as well. Ryan Porter is sitting in third. It's good to see Ryan getting a fair crack at it in this race. He is a great driver, and it's going to be a good outcome, I think, if he can get a top 3 finish in the Mercedes. He's the fastest Mercedes driver and consistently the fastest Mercedes driver we've had, but he has had some bad luck. So good on him for getting through the start of the race nice and clean, and let's see how he progresses. Brad Klenk is back in fourth. Brad has come back in our last 2 races from some early race damage to take out both races in the GT3 class. So just back there in fourth. He did say to me today that this was not his favourite track, and tonight was mainly about damage control for him, so that he could make sure that he defends the lead in the championship that he has, and get himself through to our next round at Silverstone, where he favours his chances a little more. Dave Johnson, as I mentioned, for those of you who weren't here earlier, we have dubbed him Captain Consistent, and Dave has embraced that name by just adding a little captain's hat to the rear right-hand panel of his Ferrari. So Dave just quietly navigated his way through the first 2 rounds and took home 2 third places. So doing quite well, sitting there at the moment in 5th, and just expect him to feature at the end of the race with how he drives and gets about it. Jago Pascoe, another driver who has suffered from a little bit of bad luck there, but a consistent performer as well. So he is currently circulating in 6th. 10 minutes into the race and we'll be getting into his groove. TK, who we did see earlier, had that unfortunate little slide, but got through no damage, and he will continue to run his race as he does, and will definitely be a feature in our latter part of the race. Andre Cortez also had a little bit of bad luck throughout the series, so hopefully we can see him have a good clean race today and get some valuable track time. And then last but not least is Phil Polito, just making a pass there on Andre, who's giving him some race room as well, which is great, who had an early off, did have to run through the pits there, so just struggling a little bit with the GTA to make his way around, so maybe still carrying a little bit of damage on that car. We did say earlier on that the speed differential between these two classes around this track is only about 3 seconds. It's probably our closest speed differential at any of the tracks that we go to. So without the long straights, the GTEs with their extra horsepower and downforce can't really get full advantage of it. So they will have to be careful negotiating their way back up through the field. So Chris Purnell, who we are on within the window there, has just done the fastest lap of the race, a minute 44.86, but Jesse Butler is just behind him, minute 44.96. So it's going to be neck and neck for them. You can see there Chris Purnell is up one spot from his qualifying position in second, but he hasn't managed to cut and run from Jesse at all. So it's going to be 2 hours of, I reckon, pretty intense racing for those two. Just switch back to some of these other battles back through the pack. So we've got Eddie Metz in the bright green M8 BMW there, who is being hotly pursued by Jaden Sweeney in the carbon fibre M8. Just Jaden's livery and passion for carbon fibre coming to the forefront there. He does all of his own liveries himself, and he's pretty talented at it actually, so he has come up a treat there with the BMW. He's just pressing, Eddie's just under half a second behind him, so that battle will continue to progress. Both drivers good clean races, so Eddie's dropped just one spot from his qualifying position in sixth. Yeah, that's a good point, Josh. He may well actually be doing that and just saving fuel to try and get a shorter pit stop later in the race. So I know that a couple of the guys in the Porsches have managed to do that in the last two races, with Brock almost managing to do a single stop. Oh no, and Jaden Sweeney has gone off and been tapped there. I think that he got what is called a net code, where unfortunately he has touched the front corner of Eddie's car, and that is a big accident. He will go straight back to the pits as he has, and we will see him get a fast repair and jump back out onto track. That is unfortunate. Certainly not Eddie's fault there. I just think that they've accidentally touched, so just a bad mistake there, unfortunately, for Jaden. So not necessarily his fault either, just an incident in the race. Just watch him in real life wrecking a probably $400,000 or $500,000 race car there, but fortunately here not so much. Just unfortunate for him there. So he's back in the pits. He will do a fast repair. I think he might be having a little bit of connection issues with the internet there, and that probably has contributed to what happened. He probably thought he was just far enough in front to make it through, but not quite. So we've had a fastest lap of the race here as we head back to live racing. We've had the fastest lap of the race here, just put down by Jesse Butler, who has improved on Purnell's time by 0.2 of a second. So the gap here is tiny. As you can see, a little inset camera there, which is why we brought that in. Just how close behind Purnell Butler is, and it's testament to their good driving, actually, both of them, how close they can race together without there actually being an issue between the two of them. So just do a quick little shout out to our category sponsors as well. So all of this stuff that we've managed to set up for you tonight in terms of the dual screens and dual cameras and everything else that's been going on, they are only possible because we've partnered up with Aftershock computers, or Aftershock PC, and they have built us an exceptionally awesome computer to enable us to run all of this stuff at the same time. The poor computer we were using last week just couldn't cut it, so we spoke to them there and said, hey, look, can you build us something that's going to deliver us the goods? They've certainly delivered in spades with this monster that we're able to bring everything to you from tonight. So if you are looking to get into gaming in any way, shape or form, then the place to go is Aftershock PC. They have a whole heap of pre-formatted packages that you can buy to get into gaming, so from entry level to top of the pack. So if you want to get started, that's the place to go. So I'm going to do a little bit of coverage here of the lead of the GT3 class. Sebastian running away with that. He's 7 seconds in front now of Matthew O'Grady in second, so he'll be able to manage his race with that sort of additional pace out in front, and hopefully enable himself to save a little bit of petrol and maybe some time during his stops. Still got that lead battle going on, and in the little window there for you. So just to see Chris Purnell has opened up a bit of a lead there now, out to a second in front, with a little bit of a drop off in pace from Butler just last lap. So he must have made we'll say a small mistake, because it must only have been a tiny mistake for him to have that small amount of lap time dropped off. So we've got Purnell followed by Butler, and then further down the road, about 14 seconds back from the lead pack, Ron Polito, just doing a nice job of managing his race and getting around to ensure that he equally can run his own race. Wade Reynolds has caught up to him a little bit with just a 1.7 second gap, and then Brett Douglas is back in fifth in the sister Virtual Motorsport Mentor GT, and Brett is a very experienced racer. He's done a lot of endurance racing as well, so expect him to continue to just hold his position and manage his race in the short term. I'm loving this new turns camera that we've got. It's fantastic. But I'm going to bring you another new one that Joey has put together for us tonight, which is called Chase. Now there is a standard chase camera here, but Joey has weaved some of his magic on it, and we'll just follow Ron around and have a look at this. It gives us a good close-up of the car there. You can see the sponsorship logos for this is Wade Reynolds with TW Engineering. I might just jump back into the non-second camera view so you can see a little bit more of it there. There you go. So TW Engineering, who obviously sponsor him, gives us this great view of the cars that are chasing him down in the pack. Behind him there you can just see Brett Douglas, and behind him Thomas as well. He's got the old Sports Sedan logo on the back there, so he does obviously support Sports Sedans in South Australia and run in it as well, which is great. And then we head out to this aerial view where you can just see the gap between the two races. So and that is a lap with the camera. So we'll bring back up this other battle in the front of the pack here, because it is still closing up. You can just see there Brett Douglas just sticking his nose out just to say hello and get himself featured on the coverage. So good on you, Brett. Well done, mate. It's good to have you racing with us here. There he is again, just doing the same thing, just having a cheeky look and letting Wade know that he is there and always looking. So great camera for us to bring you, and certainly be working hard on Silverstone for next week to bring you some other new camera angles and stuff as well. So. Alright, so Jesse Butler has just done the fastest lap of the race as well. He has lowered the boom to a 1:44.65, a tenth of a second faster than Chris Purnell's fastest lap. So you can see there that the gap has closed up again, and with that little inset camera, just looking back from the leader's car to second place. Just to keep you updated on what's going on there as we continue to bring you coverage of the rest of the field. We've got Jaden Sweeney, who is unfortunately out of the race, and it looks like Andre Cortez has also succumbed to race damage, so disappointing for those two guys. I'm sure that they'll join us again next week as we head to Silverstone. Just going to jump on board with Phil Polito here. He had an early off-track at the start of the race. Well, there was a little dive there from Butler down under Purnell. Didn't quite manage to pull that off, so do keep your eye on that second window if you can. But Phil Polito did have a little off at the start of the race there, but he is lapping basically 3 seconds a lap quicker than the cars in front of him, so he will make up the 8 seconds to Ryan Porter, who is sitting in 12th outright but 5th in the session for the GT3s, and I think he will be back up into that lead pack in probably about 15 laps or so. He'll rejoin, so he was relatively quick with a good qualifying position of 8th spot, so he will get back up into the lead pack and fight, and it's getting very close at the front. Just keep your eye on that right hand camera that is bringing you the rear of the leader's car, the view out of the back of Chris Purnell's car, so just keep an eye on that as that battle continues to develop. If you are watching on Facebook, do let us know where you're from and say g'day in the chat there. We'd love to hear what you're enjoying, or hear maybe what you'd like to see more of as we continue to develop this stream, and also as we get through this race. Also smash that like button and follow button if you can. We'd really appreciate your support. We haven't had anyone give us any stars yet, so it'd be fantastic if someone could do that, just to get that little boost from knowing that you're loving what we're doing. So Phil's just down in his nice little gap at the moment. He will catch up to Ryan Porter in around about 2 laps, so we will come back to that when he does, and bring you that little battle there. This battle at the front is just unbelievable. We'll just switch to this chase view and jump on board with Jesse Butler and just have a look at how close these two are. And it's been like this so far if you've just jumped on board for the first 24 minutes of this race. These two have just been absolutely going at it. So no touches, no bumps, no scratches, no scrapes, just managing to drive well and well within the reaching distance of one another if one of them makes a mistake. As Josh pointed out on our stream, it's not a bad strategy if it is what Jesse's trying to do to manage his race by saving a little bit of fuel, and the way he achieves that is basically by letting Chris's GT that we're seeing on screen now punch a big hole in the air, and that means that the car doesn't have to work quite as hard, so it doesn't have to use quite as much fuel to push itself around the track, and in doing that he's able to save millilitres of fuel. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but in the context of a race car it is, and will allow him to potentially take on 1 or 2 litres less. And as a famous movie once said, it doesn't matter whether you win by an inch or a mile, and that's what those millilitres will allow him to potentially do. Just had Eddie Metz head off track there that didn't lose many positions or hasn't jumped into the pits, so I'm thinking that he's just maybe had a little slide as he's gone off. So we'll just follow this around and see what's happened to Eddie. Yeah, same corner as well that caught out TK. So just over-rotating the car a little bit there, which lifts and lifts the weight off the back wheels and allows it just to over-rotate and spin out. So harmless, which is good, and didn't affect anyone's race. And he is back up and going again, as you can see there now. Green-eyed monster Eddie Metz, that beast of a BMW. It is huge. So it's really closed up at the front there, and it was good to see Jager Pascoe, an experienced sim racer there, just getting out of the way of this lead battle and letting it take its course. So good on you, Jager. We will give you a little bit of coverage for that, mate. We love it when the drivers understand what's going on and let our lead guys battle. In that awesome livery with the fluorescent orange, I love it. It's a fantastic looking car, this one. So see if we can see who his sponsors are there, just to give them a little bit of a shout out. So we've got OGR, which is his race team, and other than that, not a lot that we can see on the back there. Savage Sim Racing, he's got Fanatec, probably the equipment that he is using, and a few of the computer companies there, including the Oculus Rift. I do some sim racing as well, and I have just ordered an Oculus Rift for myself to head into the virtual reality world to see if it is as good as it seems, and a lot of the drivers use it, so it must be. So I'm looking forward to testing that out when old Amazon delivers from the jungle, and I get that set up over the next week or so. So bring you some footage of that, and maybe the next track lap preview even. I can do that for you in the virtual world. So we're just heading back to the lead battle here. Go Politos, yeah, absolutely. The Polito brothers are doing well. If you've just joined us there, Patricia, Phil had an early off. He is making his way back through the field, and Ron has done a fantastic job to just sit and maintain his position in third. We'll jump on board with him now for you there in the Polito Brothers Motorsport liveried BMW M8. These guys certainly put in the hours in terms of practice, and you can tell in terms of the improvement in track position in this race with Ron up in third position and just lapping consistently and running his own event at the moment. Jesse Butler has again dropped the fastest lap of the race, a 44.38. So it's going to be a challenge for Chris Purnell to hold him off for too much longer if he continues to maintain the pace at this level. Pato, Dave Johnson, he is one of our favourites. Captain Consistency is having another great race. We'll jump on board with him in a moment, as it looks like there's going to be a pass for the lead here between Jesse. And he just couldn't quite get the job done there. So this is where this new camera that we bring you, we're going to love seeing what happens here and how this develops, because we get to watch both bits of the thing as it unfolds. So lots of pressure being applied here by Jesse, 2 hours of small gap, and there we go. There's going to be another attempt to pass for the lead here, is there, as the Porsche pulls up alongside Purnell, and it looks like he may not get the job done there, with Purnell in the better position on the inside for the left-hander. So with the Porsche just closing up through this windy section of the track, as we get around this right-hander and head out onto the straight. So sorry, a little bit lost in the track there. We actually don't. We head back up through as we start to go around to complete the lap. So we'll go through the sweeping right-hander here and out onto the main straight for these drivers. So just show you the gap as they head down the front straight here, and you can see there, it's so close. Where are we down to now? Under just a tenth of a second. He's going to go down the inside. Is he? He's going to pull it off. And yes, good driving from... No, as we flip back to the inside again, and look, the line's maintained there, and Purnell has kept that position, but Butler's managed to push his way through, is he? Through the right-hander, and he's going to get the job done. Yes, he is. Oh, this is just fantastic racing from these two. I'm not even sure which camera I need to be on to try and bring it to you. It's just unbelievable. Look at how close they are as they continue to just jostle for position. It's fantastic racing. Plenty of room between the two and lots of pressure as well. So just switch here to the front of Purnell's car on the small camera so you can see there he's right up behind him. And he didn't give him a tap there. It might have looked like it on the camera, but he didn't. It just got as close as you can get. And fantastic driving between these two to keep it nice and close and basically run me out of breath. Unbelievable. We're only 31 minutes into the race. So Purnell now just pulling up behind Butler, and again, it may help him out. He may be able to save a little bit of fuel in that GT, but these guys are racing and racing hard, and we've still got an hour and 30 minutes to go. So who will relent? Probably neither of them. They're fierce competitors, both of them, and I certainly know that Purnell won't be happy that Butler got past him at this point, even at this point in the race. So it's fantastic driving from both of them. So just coming up to TK as a lap car here, and TK again experienced, so he will know what to do when these two coming up behind him. You can see that the Porsche's just pulled away a little bit there. He's probably getting, he's a little bit too far away to get any assistance from a draft from the car in front, but certainly could make all the difference, some of this lap traffic, as we get into the latter bit of the race. At this stage, the guys are through 18 laps, so well done TK, fantastic work by you, giving the guys plenty of room. We're 18 laps into this one, so probably expecting, as I said, for these guys to get around about maybe 25 to 30 laps into the race before they need to pit. So it, at this stage, looks like a two-stop race. I don't think that any of these cars will manage themselves to a one-stop race, particularly not these two at the front, even though he might be saving a little bit of fuel being behind the Porsche. There's no way they would need to save, from the numbers that we did earlier on, around about 16 laps of fuel. They use just under 2 litres or so of lap, so a lot of fuel saving there if they're ever going to manage to achieve to do a one-stop strategy. Alright, so while these two keep battling, we will jump back to our battle in third and fourth. There's a gaggle of cars running between third and sixth, which around about 3 seconds covering the whole lot. So you can just see there that we jumped on board again with one of the Polito brothers, Ron Polito, and we'll get into the chase view. Actually, no, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to change it up a little bit. We'll go up into the chopper and we'll have a look at what sort of gap there is between these three. That might not even do it, actually. We'll head to blimp. There we go. So you can see there's 3 other cars chasing down Ron. We've got 2 more BMWs and a Ford of Brett Douglas behind him there. So he certainly needs to keep the consistency of lap time up. He is lapping around about the same as the group behind him, so no one's really pressing him. Jeff Thomas has closed the gap a little bit each lap, but then as I say that, Ron has pulled out a 1:46.7 and been a little faster than those in front behind him, so just opening that gap up a little bit more. Just seeing Eddie Metz there. He is, I believe, getting a tow back to the pits. See if we can bring in a replay of what happened there. Oh, he's had a big lose just at the start of the straight there. And for some reason it looks like he has ejected. So that's disappointing for him. He has given up that spot in the race. So we'll just jump back on board with this Polito group. We'll head back to live coverage for you and see if these guys behind him, how close are their gaps? Jeff Thomas there just still doing what he can. Thanks very much for the feedback there, Evie. We're glad you're really enjoying it. And I know Joey back at the office will love it. Oh, as he's had a lose going into the pits. Jeff Thomas looks like he's going to do his pit stop and has had a little slide on the outside of the corner there. That stuff can be a little slippery, and you're trying to do a lot of things while you're doing your pit stop. As we bring up the pit transition window there for you, you've got to concentrate on making sure that you get the car stopped before you actually get to the control line in the pits. Otherwise, you will get a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So it's important for you to focus on the line, but also make sure you're not looking not looking for the wall or doing anything like that. So just important for you to do those lots of things while you're doing it. So that does mean that he falls out of this battle here, and he may well have pulled out of that battle just to make himself get a little bit of a gap so he can run some faster laps without potentially being held up by cars in front of him. So that moves Brett Douglas up towards the back of Wade Reynolds' car there. So they're the two cars that you can see on track. We're gonna go back to this. This camera here, the new turns camera, as we're calling it, which will give us a little bit better coverage of how this battle is faring. Just switch that small camera up to bring you this battle a little closer. So you're now looking out in the small camera out of the back of the Reynolds BMW in front of Brett Douglas here, and just to get an idea for you on how close these guys are and how close together they will get. Looking at a gap of around just under a second at the moment as they go around the corner, so that'll close up now as they come back down the straight, and Brett tries to chase the draft of the Reynolds BMW. So it's good that there's some close battles throughout the field at the moment. Generally in these races we can see these gaps open right up, and we unfortunately see don't get a lot of race to see. So others over here. I'm just going to jump aboard for Polito as he continues to make his way through there. So that is in front of him Brad Klenk, who is currently running 8th outright and 3rd in class, and Phil is coming up behind him to put himself back into 8th position, just 2 down from where he qualified in 6th after his early race off. So Phil hasn't quite managed to catch up there. I think that he may still be suffering from a little bit of damage in that one. He would normally be able to make gains on that car down the straight, and he just can't seem to get there. So it's still a good drive from him as he makes his way back into contention for his category, and he will make his way back past Brad Klenk in the Ferrari GT3 at some point in time. We have had Jeff Thomas have an off, so I'm just going to jump on a replay there and bring you that one. See what happened here is probably slide catching some of the drivers out at one particular. No, he's just got right up on the ripple strip there, which you can't do, and that will probably mean that he's going to end up in pit lane during his pit stop. Yeah, he's going to jump straight in there. So, albeit that is going to cost him a little bit, it doesn't cost him a lot. Oh wow, what was that? That's another big crash there from Sebastian Murray-Westberg. That is unfortunate, but has not impacted anyone else's race. We'll just see if we can bring that to you as well and see what has happened. So have a look here at what has happened to Sebastian. So he's just run wide there. That's not going to affect him too much. It did come up as a crash on my alert box, but hardly a crash by any stretch of the imagination. Jump back on board live now with the leaders of the race, with Jesse Butler just making his way through some slower cars there, and again good work from newcomer to the series Matthew O'Grady to give Jesse plenty of room as he moves through the field to open the lead of this race a little further. So our little extra camera box down the right hand side there of your screen is bringing you the view out of the battle for 4th and 5th in the GTE class. So I'd love to know from anyone out in the chat there whether or not you have actually ever been to see a live race at this circuit. I certainly have not been fortunate enough to. The Formula One certainly did race there before everything got closed down. So if you've been to the circuit, what's it like to watch a race? What's the best vantage point? How is it as an experience to go there and watch some live racing? Let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear what you think of this place in your life. So in our little battle back there in 4th and 5th, Brett Douglas is closed right up on the back of Wade Reynolds there. So we're just going to jump in on this one. We've got Wade there. Just have a look as they come down the straight here on this new chase cam that Joey put together for us. And it is nice and close with the Ford closing up under brakes there. This won't have done Brett's race too much damage either. So expect him to feature a little later on. His pit stop will be slightly shorter. His tyres, however, will probably go off a little bit quicker with the extra heat. Not able to get into clean air while he's sitting behind Wade Reynolds there. So let's jump back out into camera 1 here and have a look at what we can see as we go around. Come back down the main straight. Just playing around with these just to see what we can bring you and make sure we improve every week when we're bringing this stuff to you, which we love to do. So Ron Polito, who is in third, just ahead of this battle, about 3 seconds up the road. So these two battling it out for these positions won't have done his chances in this race any harm at all, opening him up to be able to do some quicker, more consistent laps, or faster laps, and bridge the gap to the guys in front, which is out to about 30 seconds. But we haven't even done our first round of pit stops yet, and we are coming towards slowly the end of the first hour of this race. We're 45 minutes into it, so lap 25, so we're just getting into that pit window that I suggested at the start of the race, around about lap 30. We'll expect to see these cars starting to run themselves through pit lane shortly, put on a new set of boots and fill themselves, some of them potentially, maybe trying to fill themselves to the end, but we probably won't see any success in any drivers doing that, I don't think. Good performance from Sebastian Murray Westberg here, who is in his first race in this series and is actually up into 6th place, doing a fantastic job in 6th place as well. So just going to jump back through here, jump on board with Dave Johnson and see how he's faring in his race. He's just down 1 spot from his qualifying position in class, but has made up a position in the race itself. So looks like Phil Polito has pulled in to do his pit stop, maybe getting that damage repaired as well. That has been making him a little slower in a straight line we would expect to see. Box fit livery car. There are a lot of box fit livery cars in this race series, so don't know, and I will find out a little bit more about how that relationship came about, but this guy's certainly out in numbers and enjoying the GT3 racing where they're performing well. Vega Pasco, he is jumped into the pit lane at this stage, so we'll just see if we can pick him up. No, he's not coming up on the screen, so that's fine. We're just jumping on board with Dave. Not sure what's happened to Jaeger there. Bill Polito's come out after his pit stop and has rejoined the race in 12th, down 3 on his qualifying position. But TK a little bit further up the road. He is having a good clean race, which is good after his hardware failure in the early part of the second round. Brian Porter around about 25 seconds up the road with Matt O'Grady in the other Audi that's running tonight, and he is in 3rd in class and 9th outright, with Brad Klenk in 2nd in the sister car of the first or leading GTE, in that of Sebastian Murray Westberg. We haven't checked in with our race leaders for a bit. Let's do that and see what we've got here in terms of a gap. So there's Jesse Butler coming around. Just try and bring up the track map over here, which is there. And gives you an idea. So the car highlighted white with the yellow circle around it is the leader. And that's who we're on board with now, and then you've got Chris Brunel in 2nd just behind, and you can see the gap back to 3rd, which is actually the red car a little way back down the track, with our 20-second gap or so. So the guys maintaining a gap there, but there is certainly a gap at the front of the track as well with these lead cars. Just going to cycle our little camera back here, try and get it on board with Jesse at the front of the field here. So we've got people in the pits. Just work out who we're on board with. We'll get this fixed up for next week, so we've got some of the quick information available, and we can do this, which the car turning left hand. Yeah, I'm probably going to give you guys motion sickness. There we go. I think yes, we are. So this is on board as well with Jesse Butler as he navigates this track. So you're looking at external driver and internal for the drivers. Well, not internally inside the driver, that'd be weird, but the in-car roll bar shot of him. Oh, thanks for the information there, Josh. So apparently one of the guys who races in the Rabbit Racing team is the owner of BoxFit, so he uses his business to sponsor these cars. So really good to see a business getting behind sim races and getting people out on the track. Obviously a much easier way to get into motorsport, or a much more accessible way to get into motorsport. Those of you who haven't listened to the coverage before, some of these guys do race in real life. I certainly do as well when it's not restricted by COVID and the events that have unfolded with that. And it's very, very realistic. So in terms of tracks that I have driven around in a real car versus this, the driving lines are the same, how the cars react are the same. But the biggest difference between the two is in a race car, and it'll sound weird, but you actually drive with your bum. And you feel everything, you feel how the rear of the car responds through the seat that you're sitting in, so hence why they're driving with your bum. In this, the only main difference is that you can't feel the car sliding, so you have to see it sliding. By the time you see it, it's generally too late. So other than that, the racing lines, the way you look, the turn-in, you're eyeing off the apex of corners, controlling the throttle, using the brake, all of that stuff is exactly the same. In a race car, real life, obviously there's a whole heap of factors that go into helping you be fast, including the car itself. Here, one of the biggest things that you can do to help improve your lap times is actually to upgrade your pedals. The steering wheel is not so important, and those other factors are not so important, but if you don't have a really good set of pedals that are nice and consistent, then you find yourself maybe out-braking yourself, not getting the application that you need to. So a lot of these guys spend a fair bit of time and money getting their rig set up and making sure that they're optimizing how it's set up for them to improve their racecraft and to go as well as they can in these categories. And, some of these guys spend 4, 6, 8, 10 hours a week practicing for these events, developing car setups and improving their craft and how the vehicles are engineered. So it's not quite as simple as the old Atari or playing Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, where you turn it on, jump in and get going. There's a lot more to it, and you can spend literally hundreds of hours developing the cars and improving your racecraft to make yourself as quick and as consistent as possible. So it's a credit to the guys that can do this at the high level and who can run really close to one another without having issues throughout a race manual. If you are looking to get involved, there's plenty of help. The community is generally reasonably good in terms of helping you get started, and simrigs.com, they are a sponsor of ours. They have just about everything you need from a rig and steering wheel and pedals perspective to get going. And certainly, as I said earlier, you can get a PC from Aftershock, PCs that will get you up and going and running stuff relatively well. You don't have to have the highest end computer to get it. You can just get started with an entry-level computer and see if you enjoy it. So an hour 6 to go, and I'm not going to lie, from a commentator's perspective, I'm a little bit relieved that the gap has opened up at the front. Just about 2.5 seconds between Jesse, who is on screen, both screens, on the small screen and the big screen, and Chris Purnell, who is running second. Back to third, Ron Polito has had just a really good clean race and continues to maintain his third place where he started. So continue to monitor how he goes on. And so clean is it that he's had 0 off-tracks or penalties. So there are track limits here that stop people from effectively cutting corners and doing things like that. And you do get warnings for the number of times you cut the track. A lot of these races are used to racing in categories where you get 0 incident points before you get a penalty. We do allow a small amount because we cater for a broader audience. So, but a couple of the guys, Ron's one of them, and Brett Douglas, who is now up into 4th place, is the other, who have run a race with no incident points. So that's really good, and a testament to them and their craft. So well done to Sebastian Murray Westberg there, just getting out of the way of our race leader and letting him through without impeding him. That is good to see again. So as we usually do, because we like people who do it, we'll just jump on board with Sebastian here and give him a bit of airtime in that Bow Repairs liveried car. So obviously Bow Repairs getting on board and supporting him and Brad Klenk, which we love. So give them a little bit of airtime and some coverage there to thank them for their support for this sport. Chris Purnell just coming up behind him now, so we'll see if he manages to make the same room for Chris, which I'm sure he will. And we'll just jump back into Chris's car. And yes, he's just made room there for him, so well done. That's fantastic and exactly what we want to see, so we can keep bringing you the spectacle and keep showing you the fastest guys without any interruption. We're just on the front of Sebastian's car as well there. We might just jump inside if we can. No, we've done the wrong thing. We've gone the wrong way. And now we're with the wrong car. Look at that. There we go. Just got the two different perspectives there. I'm loving this new camera, but I must admit it's a challenge to operate two keyboards at the one time, so we'll try and see if we can come up with a solution for that for next week. But certainly a great piece of technology for us to add to our stream. And I'm pretty sure that I haven't seen it, well, I'm definitely sure I haven't seen it anywhere else, but maybe someone else is doing it, but I haven't seen it in any of the streams that I'm watching, so I'll love, if that's a first, I'd love to be able to bring all of you a first. Alright, so there's still a little bit of a close battle, just up here between Brett Douglas and Ron Polito. This has got a lot closer than it was, so Brett is steaming through to try and get up into third position behind Chris Purnell. So Ron Polito there, who has run his own race essentially for the first 32 laps of this race, now about to come under a little bit of pressure from fourth place Brett Douglas there. So just jump on board to bring both cars here in this battle so that we can show you what's going on in a full screen perspective. So we'll just change cameras here. You are behind the GT of Brett Douglas, and just show you how he's getting about it as he chases down Ron Polito to try and grab third spot from him there. Just go onto the nose a little bit. Watch how much he can close up. So these two cars, in terms of relative strengths, the BMW's probably like the great all-rounder, so it's probably like Andrew Simons or something like that in a cricketing parlance. It's good at corners and reasonably quick in a straight line, but it doesn't sort of excel at either of them. So it's a pretty forgiving car to drive, and a reasonably difficult car to get to set up to be quick outside of what they call baseline or the standard settings that come with the car. The GT car is however quick in a straight line, and a little bit of a struggle for it on turns. So there's really nowhere here where I could sort of pick for you to say that, you know, one's going to be faster than the other. I can tell you, however, that Brett Douglas in fourth is stronger through sector 3, so through the last part of the track, which interestingly enough is all the corners. So on that track map there you can see the red line, which indicates the sector line, and the dots on the track. So they're the three sectors of the track in between those three lines. So that sector 3, which is the windiest bit of the track, is actually where that GT40 appears to be faster than the M8 BMW of Pulido. So straight line wise, reasonably similar in terms of top speed. The BMW is a couple of kilometres an hour slower in a straight line. We expect that. The GT strength is that straight line speed. So not too clear on where these two might pass, and it may well be that Pulido decides that it's a good move to grab his pit stop, as we're well and truly entrenched in the pit window. We've had a couple of guys go through pit lane so far. Not our leaders. We'll bring you that when we see it, as we've just ducked into the last hour of this race. So at an appropriate time in a few minutes or so, we will be having our little intermission, so that I can get refreshed for the second session in this race. I can certainly bring you the time delta there up on the screen between the two. Hopefully you can see that there. It has jumped on over the top of our second car camera, so but hopefully Yellow Run that gives you the difference. I'll actually put this one up, which I think might give you a little bit more information to what we were talking about. So showing you the difference between the two cars in the relative sectors that we were just talking about. So you can see there, sector 1, that the Pulido car was just slightly slower than Douglas. Oh, and both of them have gone into the pits. So as I said, we are in that pit window. So with Pulido and Douglas both going into the pits there, it's under who will make the quicker pit transition. So we'll just watch to see how long it takes them to get out of the pits, to understand how long they're fueling. So 23, 24, they've both been stationary for around 7, 8 seconds, 9, 10, up into 11 seconds. So it's probably going to take around about 50 seconds, I reckon, for these guys to complete their pit stop. So I'll let you know whether or not both of them do hit that 50 requirement. Maybe one of them might short fuel to get out in front, knowing that they do need to make a second stop. Stopping in this 57 minute to go area actually means that these guys may well attempt to manage fuel to get through on a one-stop strategy. We're 56 minutes to go, so an hour and 4 they've done, as Chris Purnell equally has just jumped into pit lane. So he is just driving down pit lane as we speak. You can see him there pulling in with the other cars still in the pit lane. And Douglas has got out early, so he is now in front of Pulido, who is also exiting pit lane. So about 2 seconds quicker. He's probably managed that through fuel saving through those stints. So managing Brett to jump out in front and get ahead there. Can't see much happening to the two leaders of the race because they are well and truly out in front. I can't even think that they're going to get lapped or get unlapped. You can see there the Virtual Motorsport Mentor car of Chris Purnell in pit lane. I'll jump on to see how far Jesse Butler is around the track. So he's just coming around the back part of the track now. And Purnell is still stationary in pit lane, and he's just finished there with a 58-second stationary stop. So slightly shorter than Douglas as well, with Ron Pulido having put on 2 seconds of extra fuel in his pit stop. So he's definitely aiming, I think, to be fueled to the end. And I think a lot of these cars now pitting from now on, as our race leader Jesse Butler comes into the pits, will be able to make their race hopefully a one-stop race. So we're just going to set this up here because this is going to give us some good viewing. So just bear with us a minute while we get this to work. This is one of the things that we wanted to do specifically with this, is to be able to bring you both car that is in the pit and the car that is approaching to potentially take the lead. So we'll just get these cars up on the track. As I'm madly trying to operate two at the same time. Okay. So what we're looking at now is you've got in the window there, you have got race leader Jesse Butler, and you've got Wade Reynolds, who is just making his pit stop. So effectively what we're looking for here is where Purnell gets to relative to Jesse Butler once he finishes his stop. His car is in the air here, so he is still taking tyres, and the relative between the two is going to be... So Butler's just leaving the pits now as Purnell goes down the main straight, so we actually have a change for the lead happening right there. And unfortunately, because I put that battle box up there, you didn't quite get to see it, but you did have Butler coming out slightly behind him. So if we look at the relative stops there, Butler actually had to take on more fuel. So that little run in the lead that he had there has ultimately led to him taking on around about 5 seconds of extra petrol throughout that pit stop, which is why Purnell was able to make up the gap and jump out into the lead after the pit stop. So the inverse will apply here. With Purnell leading, he's going to be burning a little bit more fuel. So if their fuel window is close, at this stage, that fuel saving will favour Butler, and he may be able to get himself a little bit further. But I don't think that either of these two are going to need to stop again, unless their tyres go off, or they are unfortunate enough to succumb to an incident. There's a very, very good chance that they will be fueled and tired to the end. So it's going to be a matter of who can look after the tyres better, and who can manage that fuel as they get around the track. It's just running, I'm just running a little bit wide there. Just bring up this time delta here to see the difference, if there is a difference between the two drivers on warm tyres versus cold tyres. So obviously that sector 1 there includes Butler coming out of the pits, and then sector 2 and sector 3 are relatively close. So we've still got Sebastian Murray-Westbeck, and Wade Reynolds apparently has had a crash, so just have a quick look at that if we can. The replay, it may be that he's just run wide. I'd say, yeah, he has. He's just run wide. So that corner's the corner that's caught. Oh, he's unfortunately spun it. He's dropped the wheel out onto the dirt there. And he's had to turn that beast of a thing around. So, but I believe he's got it back going. And yeah, he has. It's back out on the track. So not too much damage there to his race at all. So this is our race for the lead. It's down to just under 3/4 of a second gap there between Purnell in first and Butler in second, and a 42 seconds back further down the road is Thomas in third, and Douglas in fourth, who's about 10 seconds further down the track from Thomas. Polito in fifth, who again was another one who suffered for the slightly extended pit stop, and that resulted in Douglas getting past him in the pits. Wade Reynolds down in sixth, 2 spots down from his qualifying, and then we do have the first of the GT3 cars, and in a strong position there in seventh outright, Sebastian Murray-Westberg, who is up 7 from his qualifying position, and just ahead of Phil Polito. For those of you on board following the Polito Brothers Motorsport, as he just runs wide, gets a little hooked up on the curbing there, but does really well to make way for the non-lapped car coming through behind him. So well done, Phil Polito. Chris Purnell has just improved on his fastest lap of the race, bringing it down to a 1:44.62. So down near qualifying pace there for him, and certainly getting on with it to try and establish a gap over Jesse Butler. Ford doesn't tend to look after its tyres as well late in the stint, so it'll be wanting to establish as much of a gap as he can, so he can try and manage the car now through to the end of the race. Purnell's put the car wide there, so that's going to put the pressure on immediately with Butler being able to close the gap up to well under half a second. So you'd expect to see here that the Butler will be able to close up on Purnell. Just cycle through these cameras here and just jump into the back of, there we are there, back of the Ford, so that you can see what is going on as we would expect. There's a bit of toing and froing early in the stint on new tyres between these two, with the Porsche ultimately managing to make its way around the outside, as Klenk, it looks like on our little radar, has just had an off track there, so we'll bring that one up and have a look at that quickly. Hopefully just another little slide. Brad's had a little bit of bad luck in our early races and managed to overcome it, but yeah, just a little slide there on exactly that same corner. So the outcome there, unfortunately, for him is that he has dropped a few places. But back up and running. Thanks for the question there, Reese. So in terms of pitting now, we have had everyone transition through the pit lane. So the running order that you're seeing on screen now is the corrected order after pit stops. The lead of this race, as it sits now, was affected in the pit lane with Purnell being able to take a stop of around about 5 seconds in total, including the pit lane transition, faster than Butler in the Porsche, who was leading at the time. They did pit on separate laps, and Chris Purnell pitting 1 lap earlier. So the order that you are seeing across the top there on the ticker is the correct race order. So thanks very much for your question and for watching. We really appreciate it. So you can see the gap there is closing up still, with Butler just taking a little bit of time in each sector out of the lap of Purnell. Battle has been close all race. There's literally only been about 3 seconds of gap between the two of them for around about 10 laps or so before they jumped into the pits. And Jesse Butler has put in another fastest lap of the race on his last lap at 1:44.08, so extremely close to ducking down into the 1:43s and making up that gap on Purnell. So loving being able to bring you this second camera where we can have a look out the back of Purnell's car and see how close these two really are. Have to be careful here to actually keep commentating the race rather than getting involved in watching it, because it's extremely close. We are a few cars down at this point in time in the race. We have had 3 drivers unfortunately fall out of the race, with Metz, Cortez and unfortunately Sweeney all succumbing to different issues through the early part of the stream. So we'll certainly see all them back on track next week at Silverstone. Track that will probably favour the GT40 and Porsche as well. They are the stronger cars, but the Ferraris are nice and consistent, but certainly underrepresented, I think, in the GTE category. We've got a couple of fast drivers absent in those, and equally our other two championship contenders in the GTE category, Schafer and Braden Nash, both missing out tonight due to other commitments. So makes this battle up the front even more interesting as these guys try to either gap, in the case of Purnell, who is our championship leader, or with Butler catch up into second place outright in this championship. This is our maiden season of the Australian Endurance E-Championship, and there are going to be some changes into next season, which will see the grid grow a little bit more and a little bit more structure and a few more teams. So do keep your eye out on our social media pages as we update that. We are also launching some other series, so if you're watching and you are into sim racing, jump across and like our page as we just see, wow, Butler closed right up on the back there of Purnell, and that extra camera really allowing us to bring you that fantastic view. Do jump on our socials and like our pages as we will produce more information about those series that you may wish to try and enter a team in or join as we continue to grow our channel and bring you, or attempt to bring you, the best coverage of races in the sport. So we've just ticked over lap 43 minutes to go. That's pretty cool that it's managed to coincide with those two numbers. Around about a minute 44 a lap, so we've got around about 20 laps to go, maybe a few more. My mental arithmetic at this time of night is not the best. But around about that, so definitely not expecting to see any more pit stops here. So this is now effectively a sprint race to the end for these two lead cars. Once again, as Jesse Butler closes right up onto the back of Purnell, he's really looking for a way around here. Looks like he's just run a little bit wide there, Purnell, but still manages to stick in front, and you would expect us to see a challenge for the lead in this area of the track, where the Porsche generally tends to be a little bit stronger. You can see him closing right up on the back and using the advantage of the draft there as well to try and effect a pass, and he has managed to get it done there. Alright, he's run wide unfortunately, and so we've got Purnell back into the lead of the race with a small mistake there from Butler as he ran wide. We did just jump onto the in-car there of Jesse Butler to try and bring you that as he moved across into the lead of the race, but a little bit of a run wide there has caused him to remain in second place. Purnell just getting a slight little gap there, but that will not last as we head down the straight. The out camera there, they're coming up to some slower traffic. You can see Chris Purnell flashing his headlights there as we approach the slower car there. That is Dave Johnson. He will get out of the way, I'm sure, knowing exactly what will be coming behind him. You can see there Butler just harassing the back of Purnell's GT car in that small little window there. So, and Dave Johnson, well done mate, as usual, keeping yourself well and truly aware of what is going on. Well done to you. We will give you some airtime captain consistency in a few minutes once this battle here settles down. We did say we were going to take a break at some stage through this coverage, but at this stage we just haven't had the chance to, which is fine and dandy. We'll just run it through to the end. Another great camera angle here as we can just see the Porsche trailing behind. We can have a look at the lines, see how these two drivers differ and how they get speed out of their cars as they get around the track, and have a look at how they will manufacture a pass or potentially defend against a pass. If it is the first time you join the channel, you have to jump back into on our socials and have a look at the end to our race last week, which also involved Chris Purnell, and literally about 3 corners to go after 2 hours, a last lap pass to take a victory. Unfortunately, Chris was on the receiving end of it. He drove an extraordinarily good race, but the Ford lost its tyres, so just couldn't quite hold out a fast closing Porsche behind him, which was that of Braden Nash. So they doing it all again here. Purnell is trying to make sure that he is there at the business end of this race. 39 minutes to go, it's not far away. See the Porsche there just trying to find a way past. He's going to duck down the inside. We'll just see if we can. Get inside the Porsche there. And Purnell has just managed to sweep back through there. He's going to try the crisscross. Has he got back down on the inside? No, not quite. So he just can't quite close the gap up there to have affected that as a move to get back down the inside after the pass. And he is, as you can see, all over the back of that GT40. We'll try and jump on the front of the Porsche. Definitely have to get these big style, and he's going to go around the outside. Is he with M&M style? No, he's not going to make it. He's going to try to crisscross and get back up the inside, and now gives him a little bit of room there. That's great racing from these two, as it is extremely close. See there, the gap is absolutely zero as they close up under brakes, navigate this slower section of the track, and head back around onto the straight for another lap. Just trying to, there we go, we're finally there. Thanks for enjoying the merry-go-round as we watch the Porsche close right up on the back, and he's going to take a dive down the inside here. Will he be able to get it done and outbrake the GT in this section? Yes, I think he's going to get it done. And he does, as Jesse Butler moves back into the lead of this race. Not without challenge, I'm sure. Chris Purnell will continue to harass the back of that Porsche and use the draft to his advantage to try and make sure that he maintains touching distance to that Porsche in front of him. And that was equally the fastest lap of the race, and the fastest lap by Butler, a 1:44.02, so just off getting into the 1:43s on the lap that he used to take command of this race. We've got Purnell right back up behind him again. We'll try and bear with us, get behind have a look at the rear there. As you can see there, we've got now out of the back of the Porsche to see how it is that Chris Purnell might engineer a pass here. Just jumped on board with Butler instead, so you're focusing on his race, but looking in the small window at the GT behind him, and we can see what it is that they get to do. Yes, Josh, I'm going to sleep for a week after this one, mate. I have not stopped talking for an hour 30 now, so it's certainly an endurance race for my vocal cords, but I have been known to talk a fair bit, so probably not that problematic. Thanks for the comment there, Reese. It's a little sad to see you and Josh both sitting on the sidelines, but I'm sure you'll be rejoining us next week or in the next few weeks. But thanks for tuning into the broadcast. So the gap's just opened up slightly there. It's half a second now out to Purnell from Butler in the lead. And you can see there in that little screen, which I've mentioned half a dozen times now, the GT of Purnell as we're just coming up to some slower traffic again, but I think that we will see these guys move out of the way. That's Matt O'Grady. He's done a good job in the past at getting out of the way, and he is going to again here to let Purnell and Butler through. So fantastic driving from you, and it's really good to see these guys making sure they're aware of their surroundings to not get in the way of this battling in front pack as they come up behind. Pretty sure that I just didn't quite catch a glimpse of the number there. I think that's Brad Klenk in front of him, and yeah, Brad making room as well. Well done, Brad, and thanks for doing that too. So these guys continuing to be able to battle and get their way through as those GT3 cars have their own battle. It's allowed Purnell just to get right up on the back there, as I think I heard a locked wheel on the Butler car, so just grabbing a brake slightly there, and yeah, that has allowed Purnell to harass the back of that Porsche, but equally I think Purnell there just pulled up a little too tight on the inside of the track and cost himself a little bit of track position. So it hasn't affected him too much though, as he's still right up on the back of the Butler Porsche as they both get really wide. You can see the sparks flying out from underneath the Porsche there as they go over those yellow ripple strips, which are nasty. Obviously they're cutting up the bottom of the car. So just had some red highlights on the screen come up here. So there is an... No, there's nothing going on there, so I'm not sure what that was. It's again, Purnell just absolutely harassing the back of this Porsche. Well done TK for keeping out of the way there as these two go neck and neck at it. 34 minutes to go, so this is the point in the race where they'd be hoping that their cars are coming on song at the strongest part of their race to enable them to do exactly what they're doing and battle for the lead as we get towards the pointy end of this round 3 at Spain. So the track temperatures will be starting to fall as we start to get towards dusk. You can see there the overcast conditions and the guys are battling hard. That will mean there'll be a little bit more grip for them. The cars will start to perform a little bit better, so don't be surprised if we see them drop into the 143s, which is a blistering time around this track. Just take a quick second to mention our partners here. You can see there simrigs.com across the top of the windscreens of all of our vehicles. So if you are looking to get into sim racing, simrigs.com, the place to go to get your rig, get your wheel sorted, some pedals, and a steering wheel as well. So they will look after you. They're great guys and a great place to go. And why not attach a computer to it from Aftershock PC? The guys down at Aftershock have stock, build their own PCs here in Australia, all tested. They come, you pull them out of the box, plug them into the wall, and you are basically off and running. So why not get yourself set up and join us at one of our future events here on FGMeCast. I'm not sure what the track map's doing. Oh, there we go. The track map has decided to fix itself up. It's having a little bit of a boogie as Purnell closes right up on the back again now. We will bring you some coverage of the other bits of this race, but just at the moment, this is our closest battle, and it has been all race. We've got. I'll run you through the field next time that ticker comes around, so do stay with us. As always in these races, the last 30 minutes is the bit that you definitely want to watch. You've come in, you've bought your popcorn, you've sat down, and you've made your way through all of the previews of the movie. It would be silly to leave now that the main event is starting. I just can't believe that they've managed to do this for basically an hour 28 or an hour and a half to race this close together, and there has not been a lick of paint exchanged, and as I mentioned when we were talking about off tracks or incident points, hardly any incident points at all as well. So the guys are doing it clean and consistent, which is just fantastic that we get the privilege to bring it to you as well. So at this stage, if the points remain the same, it will be Purnell who will extend his lead at the top of the GT eChampionship, and Jesse Butler will certainly move up into second in that championship. There'll be a gap of around 8 or 10 points, don't quote me on it, but it will certainly mean that it's nice and close and that there is still going to be a battle for the inaugural GTE champion as well as the Australian Endurance eChampionship champion for season 1. If you are watching on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube or Mixer, do jump in and give our page a follow or a like. We'd love it if we could get some stars as well on Facebook. We haven't had any yet. I'm not sure what happens if someone's going to, run into the room and give me a big star, or how that all transpires, but I'd love to find out. So, if you're in it and you love what we do, we are self-funded, so we would certainly appreciate it if you can show us your support in any way possible. We do also sell merchandise on our website, www.fgmecast.com, where you can get stuff for the series and also stuff adorned with our awesome logo, the FGMB. So just under half a second gap here still between these two. It hasn't really opened up at all. They're just toing and froing between strong sections of the track. The last laps were less than a tenth of a second apart in terms of overall lap time. So you can see there we've got the sector splits up on the screen for you, and basically they are zero. Basically even sectors between these two cars and these two drivers. So this will be on, for those of you old enough, it is going to be on like Donkey Kong, and these two guys will keep this up, I reckon, for another 29 minutes and 31 seconds, right until the end. Just coming up behind Captain Consistency there, Dave Johnson, who is dominating his race. He is up 1 spot, but up 2 spots in class, but up 2 spots overall into 5th. And he will take home another good collection of points if he maintains his race as he is. He'll just move across to the side just here and let these guys through. Fantastic driving. I've been very impressed with the way. Oh no, and Purnell's run wide there. Purnell has run wide there, and he is off. He is off the track. So he has run wide there, and unfortunately Dave Johnson, an innocent bystander in the side there, I'm not quite sure what happened, whether the car lost tyres. It actually looked like what was called, or what is called, a net code, where the cars actually weren't close to one another but got stuck together, and that can happen. Unfortunately, it is a computer-based thing, and that can happen. So that is very, very bad luck for Purnell there. We'll see if his car's damaged in any way, shape or form, to see whether or not that has affected his overall race. He's still in second, but unfortunately the gap now to first has opened up to 12 seconds. And with the consistency in the lap times between these two vehicles, that's going to be very difficult for him to make up. He will be absolutely furious in that car, and unfortunately it's got nothing to do with anyone other than bad luck. Try and bring you a replay of that just to show you what it was that happened there. So he's just, you can see there the two cars just literally got stuck together. So nothing to do with either with bad driving or making a mistake. It's just unfortunately part of the game. That has happened before. It happened early in the race to Jaden Sweeney, where he equally got turned around, unfortunately, by what we call a net code. So that's bad luck for Chris, and he will be hoping that he can close the gap on Jesse Butler where he can. Well, what that does do is give me the opportunity to take a breath. So I'm just going to really quickly chuck on our intermission. We'll leave you with Jesse Butler there, and we will be back in a couple of minutes to bring you the rest of this race.
SimRigs.com is dedicated to not only supplying quality products, but also helping you achieve your potential and goals within the sim community. Race clean. This is the most important thing to progressing in any of the racing simulators out there. Be consistent and stay on your race line. Someone that is much faster will overtake you when they can. Moving off your line to get out of the way can cause more trouble than you think. Have fun. You will wreck quite a bit. Sometimes your fault, plenty of times not your fault. Learn from it. Wreck avoidance is key. Whether you're just starting out and wanting an entry grade setup, or have been in the sim scene for years and needing a well-deserved upgrade, SimRigs.com is here to help. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. At Ferguson Group Media, we are a full-service marketing agency built for today. Day in, day out, we are about attracting attention to build brands. We believe that every business is a marketing and media business and should have access to a content creating machine. That's where we fit in. We also understand about extracting value from social media marketing and digital marketing. Video is king in producing content for your business. From it, all other forms of content can flow. We are set up to film, edit, and post-produce content at scale. This enables us to keep costs down, allowing small businesses to also access our products. Don't hesitate to reach out and chat about your content ideas. Your local digital marketing agency, Ferguson Group Media. There is an awful lot to learn, and it takes quite some time. Trying to work it all out on your own can be confusing and overwhelming. It can be super hard to get on the track, never mind being competitive. For me, I was lucky enough to get involved with a group of guys that were really fantastic and gave me a lot of knowledge and support. This helped me to progress with my skills and got me up to speed very quickly. After a solid 5 years honing my skills, I now feel I'm in a position to help others. So I'm all in on Virtual Motorsport Mentor and loving every moment. I created this platform to help drivers develop their skills and get the support and feedback they need to improve their drive lines, speed, setups, and more. My goal is to see you become the best driver you can be. The question is, how far do you want to take it? I look forward to helping you drive fast and win more. Chris, Virtual Motorsport Mentor. Would you like to get your brand in front of thousands of avid gamers? FGMeCast now has sponsorship packages available, so you can get your name in the stream and start getting the audience you deserve. Our productions are cinema and TV standard and will include everything you need to get an ad just like the ones you saw into our live streams and replays. Don't hesitate to reach out if you'd like to work together. Thank you for watching another round of the Australian Endurance eChampionship, an FGMeCast production. We are super stoked to announce that we now have official series merchandise available on our website, so feel free to go over there and check it out. It's fgmecast.com/store. You can check out a whole bunch of cool designs there, from framed posters, caps and beanies, badges, phone cases, all the way up to zip-up hoodies. So we've got everything for every price point. Even if you've only got a few dollars there, you can just grab something small, and we'd really appreciate the support. If you really can't do anything like that at all, feel free to just share the stream and help us get the word out there. And of course, if you'd like to get involved as a racer or a sponsor, there's a form that you can complete on our website as well. So thanks so much again. Enjoy the rest of the race, and we'll see you guys soon.
Okay, and we're back. Thanks very much for the little break there. Just a few words from our sponsors. So we've got 21 minutes to go in this race, and it is still Jesse Butler out in front, ahead of Chris Purnell, who is around 11 seconds back in second place there, and he is on a charge. He is definitely trying to make up that gap that unfortunately came about because of that netcode error, unfortunately impacting on his race. So it's unfortunate that that has happened for him, but them's unfortunately what happened on the brakes. So he will battle his way back and come back stronger from that, no doubt. Brett Douglas back there in third, with Ron Polito still in fourth, and he is doing a good job there. Just look back out of the back of Douglas's car there. You can actually see Polito in the background. So we'll just jump on board with Ron and just focus on this battle as it tightens up towards the end of this race. I'm sure that Ford probably struggling a little bit for tyres, as it tends to do towards the back end of the race. So just bring this back into the camera there so you can see In the little window, we're looking out of the front of Polito's car at the back of the Douglas GT, Ford GT. So this battle has also been raging for a fair portion of this race, and once there was the changeover in the pits around about 10 laps ago, this race certainly closed up a little bit. So just interesting to watch and see if Douglas can maintain that with the tyres in that Ford. Certainly, I imagine, on the poorer side. He did pit on the same lap as Polito, but I think the BMW probably looks after its tyres a little better. So we'll keep an eye on the lap times between the two at the moment, very similar, to see if they start to suffer a little bit towards the last sort of 10 minutes of this race. So with 19 minutes to go at this stage. Jump across, we'll leave that little window where it is. We'll jump across and have a look at our GT3 leader, Sebastian Murray Westberg, in his first race in this category. So he, at this stage, is 51 seconds, a whopping 51 seconds ahead of his teammate Brad Klenk, who's on screen now, second in his Ferrari. His Ferrari's got a little bit. He did have that slide early in the race, but has still done well to keep things where they are. Matt O'Grady, again another newcomer in the Audi. I believe he will be partnering up with Andre Cortez in the Enduros. I may be wrong about that, as our only other Audi driver, but he is there, and it looks like there is a challenge, or has been a pass executed for third spot between, Brett Douglas has moved back into fourth there. So we're not sure if that, certainly no impact or any accident there, so it looks like there's just been a pass for that position. Phil Polito has had a tough race. He is down in 10th, 7th in class, 3 down from his qualifying position. Ryan Porter, who has done a great job tonight, he is down in 4th in class, up 1 spot from his qualifying position, up 4 in the race, up to 11th. Fan favourite TK from New Zealand, he is currently 5th place in class, 12th in the race itself. And Dave Johnson, who unfortunately was involved with that incident with Burnell, not of his or Chris's making, from the perspective here that we saw, down in 6th spot, doing, as he usually does, a good job. Jacob Pascoe is out. No, he is not. Yes, he is out of the race. Eddie Metz, Andre Cortez, and Jaden Sweeney. So we've had a few, unfortunately, fall away tonight. So this battle here is still close, with Ron Polito and Brett Douglas. Just switch back the vehicle now, so you are looking in the small window at this battle forward to the Polito GTE, and I do wonder if maybe the tyres of that GT are suffering a little more than the tyres on Polito's car. Gap's just under a second, it's about 3/4 of a second, so just keep an eye on these guys as they go about it. Throughout the rest of the pack, we've got a reasonably spread field, so I'm not expecting too much to change unless there are incidents in this last 15 minutes. And look, there can be. I mean, these drivers now have been driving at pace for an hour 45. So if you think about how tired you feel sometimes after an hour 45 of just driving your regular car and then multiply it, that's where these guys are at. So particularly with Butler and Purnell, with that absolutely intense opening, well, hour and a half to the race, where they were bumper to bumper basically for the first hour and a half. So this will be a good finish for Ron if he can keep hold of it. Just giving a little bit of Polito Brothers Racing there as blares up on the screen. Those cars well put together. It'll be his strongest finish in the series and will certainly move him up out of the mid-pack in the GTE class. And along with Brett Douglas as well, he'll be looking to try and achieve exactly the same results. If he can pull off a third place here, it will help move him up. Still fourth, a good result, and his highest finish so far, or equal highest finish so far. So they'll be wanting to execute and take home a bag of points where they can. So we do love your feedback. Do let us know if there's anything that you would like to see us try and introduce onto the stream. We obviously have our own ideas of what we hope you'd like to see, but definitely open to any suggestions in terms of changes and things that we might be able to make for you. Just jump on and Jesse Button there and just see how he's going. That gap is just down to about 10.5 seconds at the moment. So not unfortunately really making any dent in it for Purnell to close that gap up to Jesse Butler, but their lap times are extremely similar. 0.2 of a second a lap at his stage difference. It looks like Butler has backed it off a little bit, probably just to ensure that he can get home, but I think that he's going to be pretty safe for fuel, given that they both pitted, he and Purnell, well and truly after the hour mark. Which would suggest, unless they were heavily fuel saving for that first hour, that they will be able to make it the full race distance on a single stop. What do you all think about racing in the dark? Certainly makes it difficult for us to commentate, but something that we might throw at the drivers for one of the remaining rounds. Maybe we'll end in the dark or start the race in the dark and enjoy the dawn or the dusk at one of our remaining solo events. So do keep an eye out for that as we continue to vary it up and challenge the drivers in the series to truly see who is the Endurance E-Champion. Just drop back here and see how Purnell is going. He continuing to lapping. Obviously his car not damaged too much in that incident that he had with slower car, certainly no fault of the slower car at all in that event, just unfortunate. And this battle, this is where we're at. This 1 second gap between third and fourth is what we're looking at. Yeah, thanks Reese, you appreciate the nice night racing. That is good. I think we should do it. We'll put it on the list. Not that list, the good list. So the GT not really closing the gap there. You're looking at the smaller window, not really closing the gap up much down the straight to Ron Polito at all. So their lap times are almost identical here. So provided no one makes a mistake, we're looking like having probably our least eventful finish of any of the races that we've done, but you just never know. So don't go anywhere. I just had an off-track alert for Jeff Thompson. That's the real Jeff Thompson. I doubt it, no, it won't be, but I doubt Tomo will be on here having a race. But Tomo, maybe that's an appropriate nickname for Jeff as he joins the series. Here he comes down the main straight in the number 85 BMW M8. I wonder if he is actually going to pair up as well with one of our other drivers for the Enduros. Yeah, no worries at all, Reese. I certainly can do that for you. So again, at this stage, everyone has pitted at least once. Some of our drivers have done twice, including Thomas. So he was certainly fueled to the end. But I anticipate that there will be no more pit stops through this race. All of the cars who pitted around about lap 37 was our latest pit stop of the single stop strategy cars. Should make it to the end. That would suggest they could probably run to lap 72 before they run out of fuel. We're 62 laps in as Butler does just come around to cross the start-finish line to commence that lap. And they GTE drivers had done 62. The GT3 guys, the fastest of the GT3s, just 2 laps behind in Sebastian Murray Westberg, fastest in his Ferrari, followed by his teammate Brad Klenk. So the GT3 guys should also get through on a single stop strategy, with the earliest pit stop done at lap 32 for a single stint. So they may need to pit again, but again they unfortunately are a couple of laps down, so only on their 58th lap. So I'm not expecting any pit stops, and that's it. Good to see Adelaide represent. You guys are enjoying yourselves over there. Wade Reynolds and Jeff Thompson joining together. Okay, beautiful. Thank you for that information there. Certainly running 5th and 6th respectively in the upcoming 4-hour event. So good to know that that's what they'll be doing when we head to the Nürburgring, which is going to be a challenge for everyone. And follow that up with our final race of the series at Bathurst. So those 2 events coming actually on a Saturday afternoon, or with a big lock-up there from Tomo as he rolls through the corner. But they're coming to us on a Saturday afternoon. A 4-hour event on a Thursday night is a little bit steep for anyone, even if we would have to start it earlier, so drivers aren't driving till midnight, given that we have got some different time zones represented here. So and they're in late July. Do have the Spa 24-hour coming up if you are interested in more endurance racing. That is in a couple of weeks on the 11th of June. No coincidence that it follows our 2-hour round at Spa on the Thursday prior. So some good practice there with a lot of these drivers, probably contemplating doing the 24-hour race as a team event. So some good practice that we're able to bring for them there. That might be the one that will make a twilight race, so that they can get a taste for what's coming at them on that Saturday. I believe it starts around 11 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's an iRacing run event, so there'll be plenty of splits. And I believe at the recent 24-hour Le Mans race, there were so many people entered that it actually crashed the iRacing server, and they had to open up more splits so that there were people who could get into it. Splits are basically what decides which grouping of cars you run in, so based on iRating of the car that registers for the event. We've got 7 minutes to go. Certainly still looking like no further pit stops from anyone, and we've got Jesse Butler out in front, 9 seconds in the lead, so he may be conserving a little bit. He has lost a little bit of time to Chris Purnell in second. Chris is still getting around in low 1:45-minute laps. Ron Polito in third. That'll be a great result for him if he can hold up the fast closing Brett Douglas, who is lapping faster than him now. So this battle will get closer. Again, still on the small screen in the right-hand side there, you're on the nose of the Douglas Ford. So if you're interested in that battle as we cycle through the field one more time, just keep an eye on that smaller screen, and we'll see if anything happens there. Further back to Reynolds, who we were covering just earlier, who we've been advised is going to be jumping on board with Tomo for the Enduro event. The leader of our GT3 category in the Bow Repairs sponsored Ferrari there in Murray Westberg, who will be teaming up with Brad Klenk for the Enduros. Matthew O'Grady in the Audi third. Polito, who is a little bit out of place there, but will be teaming up as well with his brother in the other M8 during the Enduros. Ron Polito, Ryan Porter in 11th, TK in 12th, and Dave Johnson in 13th, with a few drivers out beyond that. So if you are looking for something to do on your Thursday night as we rejoin the leader in the closing laps of this race, we do still have spots open in this series. We do have some other series coming up as well. We'll be opening an IndyCar series along with some oval track stuff in the NASCARs, as well as we continue to broaden our offering to our audience and certainly to the drivers. It is our resolve to bring the best that we can bring in iRacing and other esports coverage as we continue to expand our little company here. So thanks for those who have tuned in tonight. We do appreciate your support, and as always, a share, a like, or even if you can break our star virginity on Facebook by dropping some stars, we would appreciate it. So we're still on board here with Jesse Butler. Still in that little window, you do have the battle that is still raging for third and fourth. Has opened slightly up there down now to just on a second. So do keep an eye on that window as that develops. We will see if they can do anything in 4 minutes. So once the clock gets down to zero, the lap that they are on is the last lap of the race. So given the lap times, expect there to be probably 3 more laps after this one. Up here, we'll jump on with the chase cam that we've developed for this race, and you can have a nice close-up look at the RMS or Race Management Services sponsored Porsche of Jesse Butler, as this will be, when he does take the checkered flag, or if he does take the checkered flag, which we suspect, his maiden race win in this series. So he's driven extremely well tonight. And so did Chris Purnell as well, as the two of them fought really hard for a majority of this race to try and take out the race win. Plenty of respect, plenty of race room, but nice close racing for us to enjoy as the spectators. Minutes to go, we'll just jump on with the cockpit and you can let Jesse take us around for a little bit of his lap as he brings this one to a close. That's the perspective of it from Jesse's Porsche in the driver's seat there. Absolute abundance of dials, things, buttons to push and do there, which I'm sure the drivers also like. So these things move and turn. I might grab some information on that for you for next week. Give you a better understanding of what the lap does. Brett Douglas is certainly giving that Lido's car a hard time there on the small straight. We'll stick with our race leader here as he commences the final lap of this race. May well have been the last lap of the race, as behind him here, and he's going to make a pass down the outside. Will he get it done? No, he won't. Polito has stuck the car back up under there, and there's a really good battle here for fourth and third in the GTE and the outright positions as we see Jesse Butler bring that Porsche around for his maiden win in the AEE GTE category. Well done, Jesse. A fantastic race and some great battles. He also has taken out the fastest lap of the race. Chris Purnell has come across the line in second, and that means we can jump on board and bring in this battle here, which is raging for third and fourth as these two battle it out. They are just coming around now into about halfway around this lap, around this right-hander, down into a straight. The draft will be of an advantage. Let's see what can be done here for Brett Douglas to try and steal third place from Ron Polito, who has driven a fantastic race, basically been in third for most of the race. Certainly deserves it, but he's got to earn it here, as Brett Douglas definitely tries to close right up on the back of him through this tight section of the track. The tyres on that GT are obviously still surviving well as he's trying to look to get it done. There's only a couple of corners to go as they come back around now. This is the last corner. It's going to be a drafting affair if it's going to be anything. It's going to be just too far away to get it done, and Polito will hold out, I think, and take, yes he does, and take a well-deserved third place with Douglas in fourth. Reynolds in fifth. We've got a few burnouts happening here as the race is over, and Jesse Butler still getting on with things there, so hopefully that doesn't affect the race result there. I don't believe it will, with the checkered flag out and waved. Makes my 20 laps in the Mazda at 1 look a bit pathetic. Thanks, Race. Well, we appreciate you tuning into our coverage anyway, mate. And I'm sure the laps in the Mazda at 1 will be entertaining. So just bring up the results on the screen here now in the GTE class as they just come up there. So you can see there, Butler taking out the win from Chris Purnell with Ron Polito in third, Douglas in fourth, Reynolds in fifth, Thomas in sixth, second Polito brother in seventh, Eddie Metz in 8th, and Jaden Sweeney finishing in 9th there. In the GTE category, well-run race by these guys, certainly giving plenty of room for the race leaders. The winner there, Murray Westberg, in his first results here. Brad Klenk in second, O'Grady third, or fourth. TK getting through this one in fifth. Dave Johnson after that unfortunate incident in sixth. Pasco in seventh, and Andre Cortez rounding out the 8 drivers in that class. So I'm going to try and bring you this, and we hope it works. We've been working on it, and to see if this has updated. Alright, so that does bring us to the end of this part of our broadcast. We're just going to try and grab some of the drivers in and broadcast room here and see how they found the race. So we've got Jesse Butler there in the green room. We'll just grab him in. Hey Jesse, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, well done, Jesse. Great win for you tonight. Some amazing racing for you. You guys, you and Chris, hard at it for basically an hour and a half of 2 hours of racing. How did you find it?
Yeah, it was quite good. I didn't do a whole heap of fuel runs, so I wasn't sure about doing a one-stopper or a two-stopper, so I decided to let Chris go a bit and see if I can sit behind and just fuel save for a few laps, but getting back in front of him was the hard part. So it was really good to especially get the win, get the monkey off the back, but just trying to that's the pit stop there just didn't go entirely to plan. Was in a bit of a brain fade kind of moment, but it was good to get back in front and kind of control it after Chris had his off. But it was bloody good fun with Chris.
Yeah, he unfortunately I think was a victim of a netcode there because he was running wide of Dave Johnson there, and they just ended up getting tangled together. So unfortunately, damaging both their races. But we certainly enjoyed it up to that point in time. And Chris has just joined us in the room. G'day, Chris. Thanks for joining us. A little bit unfortunate there, I think, grabbing a bit of netcode and getting tangled up with Dave Johnson late in the race.
Yeah, it wasn't netcode. He turned in back across in front of me. I've just looked at the replay, so I'm not really too impressed about it. But it is what it is. It's racing, and sometimes it happens. Total respect to Jesse. That was one of the best races I've ever had, and we just went at it for the whole time nearly, so it was awesome.
It certainly left with me with almost no voice, having to talk basically solidly for an hour and a half because there was no opportunity to go off and have a break because you were, within half a second of one another basically for an hour and a half. So, and the pit stop seemed to play out in its favour for you. Did the tyres on the GT last through the race, or?
The first stint, I probably went a little bit hard trying to close the gap back up after I got stuck behind a bit of lap traffic and dropped a couple of seconds.
Yep.
Early in the run, so I probably pushed a little bit hard. There was only, I think it was about 15% left on it when I pitted. So yeah, it was pretty gone by that point. But the second stint was all right. So it was just unfortunate.
Yeah, no, sad to see that if that's the case. Couldn't quite work out what went on there as well. So, but great racing beyond that, and still take home second place and certainly improve your lead at the top of the championship tonight as an outcome. So not all lost.
No, that's it. It's still a long way to go. It's still 4 races, and we're getting to the tricky part of the season where we go to 4-hour events, which I think they're going to play a massive part in who takes the championship home.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And we've got the Bow Repair brothers who took home first and second in the GT3 race with us as well. Congratulations to both of you on your races tonight. How did you find it?
Look, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm really quite surprised at coming in. This is my first race in the GT3 since the Nürburgring 24-hour. And to come out and just have really, real good, strong confidence and pace in the car. And for, again, another car that I've never actually raced in the Ferrari. Normally I'm a Merc guy. So,
Yep.
Look, I'm really quite proud and excited to be joining Brad in the same car, coming for a couple of 4 hours.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good to see. I mean, obviously Brad's been consistently performing for the first couple of weeks, so it was good to see you get up there and get up to pace as well. And Brad, you managing to have an incident-free race this week because you have had a couple of unfortunate events in the last couple of weeks, so it was good to see.
Yeah, well, not completely incident-free. I had a silly little spin. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked with the result. Massive congrats to Seb. That's an awesome drive to come in and to do what he did, and good confidence heading into the co-drives. But yeah, I was always heading into this just thinking damage limitation because there's not many tracks I have a strong distaste for, but this is definitely on top of the list. So yeah, just to come away and not actually concede points was pretty much my aim, and that's what we came away with. And yeah, obviously great result for the team, and massive congrats to Jesse for getting a pole and a win in GTE as well.
Yeah, that was a fantastic race. You'll get to watch back a little bit at the start of that. It just went on and on and on.
So they were quite close for a long time there. I was back down the back section of the track. I could see them two going past me on the straight, and then they were almost glued together. And then when they came through towards the end, I saw how close they were, so I just made sure I didn't impede either of them, just let them both pass. So.
No, and I think overall the GT3 guys with the difficulties here in terms of lap pace and stuff like that, the lap pace is close enough that makes passing opportunities for the GTE guys a little more difficult. So I think everyone did a fantastic job overall.
Yeah, there's always a bit of give and take from these ones, but yeah, no, look, big shout out obviously to the Bow Repairs team. Really proud of both cars today, so congratulations to Brad, and yeah.
And congrats to Matt too on a podium on debut.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've managed to pull Matt in here as well. Matt, a fantastic start for you too. So congratulations. How did you find it?
Yeah, that was honestly one of the best races I've had. That was so much fun. Like Brad and Seb, man, they're quick.
Absolutely, yeah, they are. And quick, straight out of the box, as always. Brad says this is a track he hates, and he still managed to come second. So, I'm not envious of running against him. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I had nothing for him yet. Brad had a little spin there, but I thought, oh, he's only going to catch me again. But it was good fun battling. The only thing I was trying to do for the race is keep a clean front bumper and a rear bumper, and that's what I achieved. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and obviously the fastest of our Audis as well. So good to see a little bit of variety on the podium. Ron, sorry, go on.
No, you're right.
Ron, you've still got yourself on mute there, mate, but we'd love to have a chat with you if you want to. There we go. A solid result for you, bringing home third. You pretty much ran there for most of the race, but we're heavily challenged through parts of it. How did you find it?
Thank you. Yeah, that was probably one of the most difficult races I've been in. I'm new to iRacing, so I think I only started 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
I joined the series looking to have some fun and join some guys and hopefully see myself at the pointy end. And literally, I think just in the practice, I changed my strategy from a 2 pit stop to a 1 pit stop.
Yep.
So the temperature was a bit lower, so I thought I'd give it a shot. And yeah, it was definitely difficult. I tried to take it a bit easy at the beginning, and on the second stint, I was a bit on struggle straight. So that was very fun throughout the whole race. I hope any of my passes or blocks weren't a bit too hard, but it was an amazing race with Brett.
Yeah, no, from where we saw, we were watching it right at the end there, and we the gap sort of just teetering. You guys were pretty even on pace, but once Brett got into that slipstream, he closed right up on the back of you, so it was certainly good to watch, and just pipped you a little bit there in the pit stop, so managing to get out in front of you. So, but no, you certainly drove a great race, and it was good to see you getting up into the pointy end. In the lead up to the long races with your brother.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was game over when he got me in front of the pit stop. But I do have to say this is an amazing series, and the amount of effort you put in is amazing. So thanks to you, to FGMeCast, to the sponsors of the series, and especially give a shout out to Polito Brothers Racing and Barker Bespoke, who's sponsoring me for the event. But I also want to give another shout out to my girlfriend Evie. That was a bit in the first half where I was getting really hot and sweaty and losing a bit of concentration, and she was kind enough to crack the windows open and let the breeze in and give me a bit of a break. So thank you, Evie.
That's good. Yeah, she also dropped a couple of comments on the feed there, so she was watching along with us, which is great. We appreciate the support.
That's awesome.
Excellent, guys. Well, thanks very much. We head to Silverstone next week, and another 2 hours around there where it's certainly going to challenge everyone. So good luck during the practice during the week, and can't wait to see what you bring us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congrats to the winners, and amazing job, Jesse and Chris. You guys are way too fast.
All right, and that just about wraps it up.
Thanks for joining another round of the Australian Endurance eChampionship, an FGMeCast production. This championship was brought to you by Aftershock PC Australia, Razer, Simrigs.com, and
would like to thank you all for your support of the event that we're putting on. Thanks very much to Simrigs.com, Aftershock for all your PC needs, Razer, who we are a partner with, and Virtual Motorsport Mentor for their support in what we do as well.